comes loose. This thing, I don't even know, I'm sure that thing even works, that little vacuum diaphragm. We'll test it. The kick down, yeah, I think that's what it is. Let's see if I can get that loose. Yep. Smell the varnish in there. Oh, there's one more. One small vacuum line. Transmission line. There we go. There we go. You see down in there? Just like it's been sitting. Smell that varnish now. Yeah, this thing needs a thorough washing. All the junk in here, burn it off and spray it out maybe. All right, so I've got the AFB carb off of the Pontiac here, as you can see. And I swear the guy says, oh yeah, we recently rebuilt this thing. But this just goes to show people don't understand maintenance. They don't seem to care that have these cars, or they just don't know what they're doing. Because if you open up the primaries, I stuck that screwdriver in there just to keep the primary jets open, or the primary valves, throttle valve open. The secondaries are completely stuck, and I've been working on loosening them up. So they were never working, and that accounts for why those spark plugs looked like they were, the car ran pretty lean. They were going open throttle on 2 of a 4-barrel, and on a 4-barrel, the primary throttle area is not as large as a 2-barrel, because you've got the secondaries that come in and make up for that. So I've been soaking it down in this power foam, which really does a good job. There we go. So I use this power foam. It eats right into carbon. It doesn't really do for rust, but there was some carbon buildup in these areas. I was cleaning out a sprayer from one I used for paint. That's why I didn't spray. But anyway, and I get into these areas with the MP metal protector there. Kind of like a PB blaster. But anyway, I've just been working at it. It's been totally... and by the way, I'm gripping this on the side that pulls this way. So if I get it scratched or anything like that, it's not going to draw through the base of this carburetor. But yeah, it is still not moving at all. It's possible, which I don't think it is, but it's possible it could be stuck inside here, your primary throttle. So you want this little cam that rides on here. So I'm going to pull that little pin out of here. Whoops, get a screwdriver to do that. See if we can get that freed up. If that had anything to do with it. Nope, it didn't. So this is free here. So what I've been doing, I take this lightweight little hammer and I'm just gently tapping on it. Very gently, because it's all brass stuff and aluminum. And then I just took I wanted to use a punch, but I thought, a nice bolt with a flat head. I'm hitting these throttle valves here. Not hard at all, and I did notice it is starting to come free. So I should just take this apart and stick it in the parts washer and let it soak. But I'm just trying to do some things that I think I can do right now. See, it is coming free a little bit. So anyway, I'm gonna keep working on that, and if it gets free, I'll show you. Okay, well, I pulled off that lever and spring, and you can see here it's clearly not bent or torqued or anything like that. So I'm going to continue to soak it. Looks like this end may be the culprit. Let's loosen it up more. It must be just varnish from sitting, you know. Some bad gas. No stabilizer. Shout out to Project Farm. They tested this product with great success. People see me use that stuff. They were like, "Oh, did you see that on Project Farm?" Oh yeah, heck yeah. All right, that's one of my favorite YouTube channels. That and the Cartnarks. Go over to Cartnarks. Okay, let's see. Let's just let that soak for a minute. And little by little, I'm getting it loose. Grab this firmly. I couldn't do that before. That paraform is working its way. It just shows the strength of varnish, the damage that varnish does, and you know, on valves and everything else too. Really help. Okay, I think that parafoam, I'm gonna hose that out with some of this MP spray and then start taking apart the rest of the carburetor. So yeah, now I can actually move these with my fingers, but still a long way. Got to somehow flush that stuff out of there. Yeah. All right, I got them. I got those secondary throttle plates out of there, just like John Ritter used to say. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now, the next thing, before you knock this out of there, and it's a little bit looser now, I can turn it with my hands. Before you knock that out of there, you always want to take some emery paper or sandpaper, whatever, and get those burrs off of here, because when you pull that through, it's just going to scratch that throttle shaft bore, and that's one of the critical areas. You don't want vacuum leaks anyway, and so do that. Whoops, see it even. I'm not sure this will even take that off. There's a big one on here. Let's see. I think I got it. But yeah, I see that varnish on there now. It's getting stopped on not the, but the. Is there a difference between the and the? Have you ever wondered that? Oh, the bolt hole here. Let me just do this. At least I can. Yeah, that's working. Tap on it a little bit. There we go, got it out. Don't see any damage. Don't see any damage in there. Nope, there's a lot of junk. So we'll clean that up. I'll run a little pipe cleaner down in there, and we'll clean this up especially. Let's see how this fuel filter screen. Ooh, mama, look at that. Nasty stuff in there. There's a little screen in there. Let's see how that fared. Not sure if the rebuild kit has that, but I don't know if you can see in the viewfinder. Let's see if I can get without a shadow. Yeah, there's soot. It's just full of stuff. So yeah, the flow was definitely hampered. Let's see, let's put it in here. Yeah, all sorts of junk. Alright, I'm gonna get this thing taken apart. Alright, here's the moment we've been waiting for. I just pulled the last screw out. And let's see what the accelerator pumps look like. Maybe ethanol was sitting in there, I don't know. Let's see what the bowls look like. Maybe they're a total mess. Whoops. Alright, let's take a... Ooh, oh man. Well, that gas tank was dirty, that's why I had it rebuilt. Floats, all sorts of nasty stuff. Looks like cork material. See that here? Looks like, yeah, someone probably cleaned this up not too long ago and just filled it back up with junk. Okay, let's look in the bowls. I'll have to test these floats and see if they're any good. And the accelerator pump doesn't look too bad. You could probably use that over again. Very sweet smell of varnished fuel. Whoops, I got my magnet here. I always use a magnet to collect all my parts, so keep everything in one spot. Okay, now take a look. You need ambient music to explain this. And I should take a photograph of this. One jet, let me walk over here. Make sure this gets in the camera. Yeah, one jet was completely clogged right there. This jet is open. And the accelerator pump was covered up too. The intake, the check valve on that. But yeah, look at that. That's just... So this whole side wasn't even working. The Venturi here couldn't have been working. And there's also some muck that fell down the intake horns down into here. Some type of black sludgy stuff. So it's amazing the thing even ran. But one thing for sure, it's sure gonna run good when we get this back on there. All right, we're back with this carburetor. I had to wait on some parts, the enrichment jet rods and some other things that were missing. So I'm going to throw this thing together real quick. I'll cut in and out here, not to waste your time. But first thing you want to do, of course, which I was almost going to skip. I put a lot of chemicals through here. I got all those ports cleaned out. But residual dust and stuff, the fuel's not always going to take that out, even though it's clear. And it's going to act as something for fuel and for future varnish to collect on. So certainly you want to blow everything out. Make sure you don't have any loose screws. On this Carter AFB, there's quite a bit of ports. You've got your, well, there you go right there. Ton of stuff came out. So our accelerator pump, that was the first thing I did. We got all the associated orifices for the Venturis. My hand underneath, I can feel some of that here. Well, that's quite a... There's the one for the idle circuit. Definitely want to make sure that's clear. The idle air flow, which we'll do that one right here. And then the various vacuum ports that provide vacuum to the rest of the carb and engine and brake system. And let's see, what else do we have here? Well, that's really about it. There's some other things we might have missed. Oh yeah, the jets themselves. And when you spray down in those jets, you want to make sure that you're feeling the air come out on the other side there. So like this one here. So yeah, we got the idle side, we got the high speed side, and all that. This, when I disassembled it, I left the main throttle valves on for these two Venturis, but I took off, as you saw before, they were stuck. So we're going to put that back together. And but the one thing I want to show you real quick, often a forgotten step, is when the primary clusters here are closed, you want to make sure that it's blocking this, I forgot what the name of that valve was right there, but that's supposed to be completely blocked when the throttle is closed, because that's part of the initial acceleration to prevent hesitation. So that needs to be shut for the idle circuit to work. And what you do, because I already did it on this carb, someone had this set up wrong. Just go ahead and loosen these 4 brass screws. I loosened them a half a turn, and they weren't staked, but until you have to turn them a full turn. So yeah, see, I loosened these already. I already loosened them. They're loose right now. So loosen them a half turn. Then you can see that these are loose somewhat. See there? And then when you close it, the reason you're doing that is you really do want these things to be seated properly. Actually, this one wasn't. You want to make sure they're seated properly so they do close 100% of the way. So when you close them, you sure enough get that. When they're loose, they'll self-center, okay? And this goes with just about any carburetor. So when you got it closed, it is self-centered, and then now we can tighten those up. All right, so the next thing you want to do is get your Venturi clusters in. Of course, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put back in the secondary throttle valve, and we're going to see if cleaning it up improved its operation so it's not stuck. All right, and then we're going to talk about the floats. Take 2. Okay, I've got the floats done. I got most of the carburetor together here, but I wanted to pause here and just show you what's important. I almost ruined the engine once because, well, I had a factory fuel pump, mechanical fuel pump that was putting out too much pressure. It should have been 3 or 4 psi, and it was about 7 or 8. So it was blowing past these, and on that particular car, I put these little, on the needle valves, I put these ball bearing type ones, and it pretty much solved that problem. But it was a fresh engine, and it flooded right away and nearly washed out the piston rings on 2 of the pistons. And I think I stopped it in time. I'm actually driving that car now, and it does use a little bit of oil, but it sure drives great, so I'm just kind of leaving it be. But that was a close one because the pressure was too great for these, so not only did I put those new steel valves in instead of the rubber type, but I preset the float, not the float drop, but the float level. This is the level when it fills up, the bowls fill up. I set it a little bit lower so it would cut off sooner. So for highway cruising, you wouldn't notice any difference just having this another 32 of an inch higher. But I'd rather start there, and if you gun it and it starts missing out, you can always pull this top off and readjust these floats on the Carter type one. So basically it's 5/16, and that's about where I am. And it's always handy to have a nice pair of, I bought these at the Sears going out of business sale. A nice pair of angular dikes. So this one here, I am gonna adjust it up just a little bit more. So I would just hold this steady like so, because I don't want to bend the drop tang on this side. So I'm going to grab this firmly here and just, hang on, there. Just bend that up just a fraction so you feel it move. I think for grins I'm just going to go up a little bit more here. Let's see if that did any difference. Am I still on the screen? We are the bottom. It's about 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm fine right there. So we'll put the rest of this thing together. I'm just trying to think, was there anything else specific? Oh, well, the other thing, like I did before, I took photographs of the linkage on the phone here, you know. That always makes a big difference there. So if you screw up, you can always go back and see how it was. Okay, I got the I almost said the WCFB, but I got the AFB. Cats are going crazy. They see somebody outside, a cat out there. Anyway, okay, we got the AFB finished here for the 60 Pontiac. We're going to put it back on. I had a little problem, and I discovered what the problem that I had was the reason on these earlier AFBs, this secondary throttle shaft may get stuck. And that's because if the choke mechanism is not adjusted properly, it causes this lockout dog to never get activated or to never move, so it locks out the secondary throttle shaft. And in order to make that work properly, this unloader cam on the choke, what do they call that? Well, it's the fast idle cam that's adjusted by the choke. It's got these little steps, of course. You should be familiar with that. But anyway, when the choke is fully on and gravity does what it's supposed to do, there we go. Hang on a second. I'm not sitting level here. There, let me grab this. Okay, now, if you look carefully, the proper adjustment, see the fast idle screw? There's a notch, and it needs to line up with that. Can we get focused here? Focus, focus. There. If it's not lined up there, and this thing's a little bit counterclockwise, if it's somewhere like here, and it was, then when the choke fully opens, you won't have enough of this cam adjustment to knock this lockout dog. See, it's still sitting there? But if I take my hand up here, I can force it open, see? And that is all, and then we also get our secondary to open up now. But that's all based on the proper adjustment of this shaft that goes to your choke. So again, play with that and make sure when the choke is off, the unloader or the lockout dog does release itself from that tang right there. And at the same time, your fast idle screw should be free of the stepped unit. So you'll adjust your fast idle after you get this on the car and after you adjust your air and mixture screws here. Once you get those adjusted, then you can come back over here and check all this stuff in your travel and the transmission adjustment and those things. So, and one last thing, this car has AC, and it also has this, this is bad, so I'm not putting it back on. I got to replace it. This little, what do they call that? It's a dash pod of some type, but anyway, it sits here and it keeps the throttle from backing off too fast. It'll kind of slow down that deceleration. But this one's bad, so I'll just order another one. But for now, I'm just going to put a cap on this or something like that. So that's thing looks great, and now it's operating freely like it should. Secondaries are opening up for the first time, and they're not stuck. And when you do put that together, the last thing you want to do is make sure you put some type of lubricant down these shafts. And my suggestion is a good, like a firearms lubricant, because it's got a little bit more viscosity than a WD-40 that's going to stay put in these areas, but it won't gum up on you. That's what it's all about. You want a product that's not going to gum up. WD-40 product is basically a vegetable oil. It will gum up in those inside those shafts. And if you enjoyed these types of videos, I'd appreciate if you'd subscribe to us. At least hit the like button and that will get us up higher in the algorithm. Of course, we've got a lot of plans here, so I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks and take care.